Last summer, my neighbor called me in a panic. Her grandson had been playing near her lily-of-the-valley patch, and she suddenly remembered reading something about toxicity. That moment taught both of us a valuable lesson, and I've heard similar stories from so many gardeners over the years. The most enchanting plants in our gardens can also be the ones we need to handle with the most care. I've spent over 30 years growing beautiful spaces, and I've learned that knowledge is the best protection. Today, we're going to walk through the top 5 toxic plants that show up in home gardens all the time, so you can enjoy your sanctuary with complete peace of mind. Here's the thing most of us don't realize. We walk past the same plants in our gardens for years, admiring their beauty, without knowing they could cause serious harm. I've done it myself. You know how we love watching those sunflowers turn their faces toward the light throughout the day? That's heliotropism. Plants responding to their environment. As gardeners, we need to develop another kind of awareness. We need to know which plants in our spaces require extra caution. Let me share something I see all the time. A grandmother plants her favorite cottage garden flowers, the ones she remembers from her childhood, the ones that bring back memories of her mother's garden. She fills her beds with classic perennials and traditional favorites. She has no idea that several of them pose real risks to the grandchildren who visit every weekend, running through those garden paths, picking flowers, exploring every corner of her yard. Here's what makes this so tricky. Toxicity isn't always obvious. Many beloved traditional garden plants contain compounds that can cause everything from mild skin irritation to life-threatening poisoning. They don't come with warning labels at the garden center. They're sold right alongside the safe plants, displayed in the same beautiful arrangements, often looking just as inviting or even more so than the harmless ones. Those of us in our golden years face particular vulnerability. Our skin has become thinner over the decades. We heal more slowly than we used to. We're also more likely to have curious grandchildren visiting for the weekend or pets that spend time in our gardens. These factors combine to create situations where extra awareness becomes essential. So how do you know if a plant might be toxic? There are some warning signs to watch for. Look for milky sap when you break a stem or leaf. That white fluid often indicates the presence of compounds you don't want on your skin. Pay attention to unusual odors, especially ones that smell bitter or acrid. Notice if a plant belongs to certain families known for toxicity, like the nightshade family or the buttercup family. These aren't foolproof indicators, but they give you clues about which plants deserve your respect and caution. Here's what I want you to understand. Knowledge is protection. Understanding which plants require caution doesn't mean giving up a beautiful garden. It means creating a safer one. You can still have all the color, all the variety, all the seasonal interest you've always loved. You just need to know which plants to handle with gloves, which ones to place away from high-traffic areas, and which ones might not be the best choice if young children visit regularly. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which common garden plants to handle with care and how to enjoy them safely. You'll be able to walk through your garden with confidence, appreciating its beauty while protecting the people and pets you love. Let's start with the first plant on our list, one that might be growing in your shade garden right now. Coming in at number 5, we have Lily of the Valley. This plant has been a garden favorite for generations. It's low maintenance, spreads beautifully to fill in those bare spots under trees, and produces those charming white bells that smell like spring itself. The fragrance alone makes people fall in love with it. You plant it once, and it comes back year after year, filling your shade garden with those nodding white flowers. Here's what most gardeners don't realize. Every part of this plant contains cardiac glycosides. These are compounds so powerful, they affect heart function directly. We're talking about substances that can cause irregular heartbeat, dizziness, confusion, and even heart failure if ingested. The symptoms can include vomiting, rashes, and diarrhea. The flowers contain them. The leaves contain them. The roots contain them. There's no safe part of this plant to put in your mouth. Let me walk you through what can happen. A child is playing in the garden during late summer. They spot these bright red berries on the lily of the valley plants. Those berries look like tiny tomatoes or little jewels. The child picks one, maybe two, and tastes them. Or your dog is playing in the shade garden, chewing on the leaves the way dogs do when they're bored or curious. Both situations lead to the same place, a medical emergency. The symptoms you need to watch for include nausea and vomiting, The person or pet might experience blurred vision. Their pulse becomes irregular. These aren't mild reactions that pass on their own. They require immediate medical attention. The cardiac glycosides in lily of the valley are similar to digitalis, the compound found in foxglove, which doctors use in controlled doses to treat heart conditions. You might even be familiar with heart medications that work on similar principles. In uncontrolled amounts, they're extremely dangerous. There's another practical concern with this plant. It spreads aggressively through underground stems called rhizomes. These stems travel beneath the soil, sending up new plants wherever they go. That means lily of the valley can pop up in unexpected places throughout your garden beds. You might plant it in one corner of your shade garden, and within a few years, it's appearing 20 feet away near the play area or along the path where your grandchildren walk. This spreading habit makes it particularly challenging to manage safely. If you have this plant and grandchildren visit regularly, you need to make a decision. Consider relocating it to an area they can't access, maybe behind a fence or in a section of the garden that's clearly off limits. Or replace it entirely with safer shade alternatives. Hostas give you beautiful foliage in dozens of varieties. Astilbe produces feathery blooms in pink, white, and red without the toxicity concerns. Here's something worth remembering. Even with these safety concerns, your garden remains a source of peace and wellness. Research shows that simply looking at green space helps with stress relief. The goal isn't to create fear around gardening, it's to help you make informed choices so you can enjoy your outdoor sanctuary with complete confidence. Our next plant has an even more complex relationship with human health. It's been used throughout history as both medicine and poison, and it's probably growing in cottage gardens and wildflower meadows all around your neighborhood. Number 4 on our list is a plant that's been both healer and killer throughout history. Angel's trumpet, known scientifically as Brugmansia, produces some of the most dramatic flowers you'll ever see in a garden. These enormous, pendulous blooms hang downward like bells, some reaching 10 inches long. They come in shades of white, yellow, peach, and pink. The flowers release an intoxicating fragrance, especially in the evening, that fills your entire garden with perfume. Here's what makes this plant particularly dangerous. Angel's trumpet belongs to the nightshade family, the same family that includes deadly nightshade and jimsonweed. Every part of this plant contains tropane alkaloids, powerful compounds that affect the nervous system. The seeds contain them, the flowers contain them, the leaves and stems contain them. There's no safe part. These alkaloids cause severe reactions. Ingestion leads to confusion, hallucinations, rapid heartbeat, and dilated pupils. The symptoms can progress to seizures and respiratory failure. We're talking about a medical emergency that requires immediate intervention. Children are particularly vulnerable because the large, showy flowers attract attention. The sweet fragrance draws people in. The trumpet shape looks almost inviting, like something you could blow into or examine up close. Let me address a dangerous misconception. Some people think that because Angel's trumpet has been used in traditional medicine in certain cultures, it must be safe in small amounts. That's absolutely not true. The difference between a dose that produces effects and a dose that causes death is extremely narrow. There's no safe way for a home gardener to experiment with this plant. The compounds are too unpredictable, too powerful, and too dangerous. If you choose to grow Angel's trumpet for its stunning ornamental value, you need strict safety measures. Always wear gloves when handling any part of the plant, whether you're pruning, deadheading, or doing general maintenance. Plant it in areas that are clearly off limits to children and pets. Consider growing it in a container that can be moved to a secure location when grandchildren visit. Never bring the flowers indoors where curious hands might touch them. Here's what tells you a plant demands extreme caution. Angel's trumpet checks every warning box. It belongs to a family known for toxic members. It produces compounds that directly affect brain and nervous system function. It has a history of use as both medicine and poison in various cultures. When you see these signs together, you're dealing with a plant that requires the highest level of respect and vigilance. The next plant we're covering might shock you because it's sold at garden centers everywhere, often without prominent warning labels. It's grown for dramatic foliage, and many people have no idea just how lethal it really is. Number 3 on our list is the castor bean plant, also known as Ricinus communis. This plant produces some of the largest, most tropical-looking leaves you can grow in a temperate garden. It's also one of the most toxic plants you can legally purchase at your local garden center. The castor bean grows with dramatic speed, shooting up several feet in a single season. Those enormous leaves create an instant exotic flair, the kind of bold statement that makes your garden look like you've traveled to some faraway tropical paradise. Gardeners love it for creating quick privacy screens or adding that wow factor to boring corners. Here's the sobering truth about this beautiful plant. Castor beans contain ricin, one of the most potent toxins known to science. Just a few seeds can be lethal if chewed and swallowed. Cornell University's College of Agriculture and Life Sciences points out that just one seed can be fatal to a child. We're talking about a substance so dangerous that it shuts down your body's most basic functions. Ricin works by inhibiting protein synthesis at the cellular level. Your cells need to make proteins constantly to function and keep you alive. Ricin stops that process. There's no antidote. None. When someone ingests ricin, doctors can only provide supportive treatment. They manage symptoms, maintain vital functions, and hope the body can eliminate the toxin before irreversible damage occurs. Outcomes depend entirely on how quickly medical care is received. Here's what troubles me most about this plant. Garden centers sell it right next to the petunias and marigolds, often without prominent warning labels. The seeds themselves are large, shiny, and beautifully patterned. They look like decorative beads or marbles. Children see those seeds and want to collect them, hold them, examine them closely. That natural curiosity becomes deadly around castor bean. The time-sensitive nature of ricin poisoning makes it even more dangerous. Symptoms may not appear for several hours after ingestion. Parents or caregivers might not connect the dots immediately. They might not realize the child ate anything concerning. But once symptoms start, they progress rapidly. Severe abdominal pain hits first, then persistent vomiting. Dehydration follows quickly. These symptoms can lead to organ failure within hours. If you choose to grow castor bean for its ornamental value, you need strict protocols. Remove all seed pods before they mature. Don't wait until they've developed fully or started to split open. Cut them off while they're still green and dispose of them where children and pets cannot access them. Wear gloves when handling any part of the plant. Wash your hands thoroughly afterward, even if you wore gloves. When it comes to protecting visiting grandchildren and pets, castor bean requires the most stringent precautions of any ornamental plant. Many gardening experts recommend simply choosing a different plant if young children are regular visitors. Sometimes the safest solution is substitution. There are equally dramatic foliage plants available. Canna lilies offer tropical appeal with bold leaves and vibrant flowers. Hardy bananas give you that same exotic look without the extreme risk. We're now entering the top 2. These plants are so common, so beloved for their cheerful presence in spring gardens, that the dangers often go completely unrecognized. Number 2 on our list is death camas, a plant that causes confusion and danger in equal measure. This wildflower grows naturally across many regions of North America, and some gardeners deliberately cultivate it for its delicate white flowers that bloom in early spring. Those star-shaped blooms appear in clusters atop slender stems, creating an airy, naturalistic effect that fits perfectly in wildflower meadows and native plant gardens. Here's the critical problem with death camas. It's highly toxic to both humans and animals, and it looks remarkably similar to edible wild onions and other safe bulb plants. The bulbs themselves could easily be mistaken for something harmless if you're digging in an area where they grow. This resemblance has led to serious poisonings throughout history, particularly among foragers and people working with wild plants. Every part of death camas contains toxic alkaloids. The bulbs are particularly concentrated with these compounds. When ingested, even in small amounts, the plant causes severe reactions. Vomiting starts quickly and intensely. Stomach pain follows, often described as severe cramping that doesn't let up. The person develops tremors throughout their body. Weakness sets in rapidly, making it difficult to stand or move normally. These symptoms require immediate medical attention. Livestock face particular danger from death camas because it often grows in pastures and grazing areas. Cattle, sheep, and horses can be poisoned when they eat the plant while grazing, especially in early spring when other forage is scarce. The same toxins that affect humans affect these animals, often with fatal results if they consume enough of the plant. Here's what makes this plant especially treacherous in home gardens. If you're creating a native plant garden or wildflower meadow, death camas might already be growing there naturally. or it might arrive on its own from nearby wild areas. You might not even realize it's present until it blooms. By that time, you've been working around it, potentially handling the foliage or disturbing the bulbs without knowing what you're dealing with. The identification challenge extends beyond just the growing season. When Death Camas isn't blooming, it looks like ordinary grass-like foliage. You could easily grab a handful while weeding or clearing an area. If you have any cuts or abrasions on your hands, even handling the plant material creates risk. If you discover Death Camas growing in your garden, removal requires careful attention. Wear thick gloves when digging up the bulbs. Dispose of all plant material where children, pets, and wildlife cannot access it. Never compost Death Camas. The toxins can persist even as the plant breaks down. This directly answers which symptoms indicate possible plant poisoning and when to seek help immediately. Sudden onset of vomiting combined with tremors and weakness after working in the garden means you need emergency medical attention right away. Don't wait to see if symptoms improve on their own. Our #1 plant takes danger to another level entirely. It's so toxic that even touching it can cause serious harm. The most toxic plant commonly grown in home gardens is also one of the most photographed, most romanticized, and most deeply associated with traditional English cottage gardens. Coming in at #1, we have Angel's Trumpet, known scientifically as Brugmansia. This plant produces some of the most dramatic flowers you'll ever see in a garden. Those enormous, pendulous blooms hang downward like bells, some reaching 10 inches long. They come in shades of white, yellow, peach, and pink. The flowers release an intoxicating fragrance, especially in the evening, that fills your entire garden with perfume. Here's the stark reality. Angel's Trumpet belongs to the nightshade family, and the entire plant is toxic. From the seeds to the flowers, from the leaves to the roots, every single part contains dangerous compounds. We're talking about alkaloids that affect your nervous system and can cause hallucinations, confusion, and severe poisoning. This isn't a plant where you need to worry about one particular part. The whole thing demands your respect and caution. The symptoms of Angel's Trumpet poisoning are serious and frightening. Confusion sets in quickly. Hallucinations can develop, sometimes severe enough to require hospitalization. Your heart rate becomes irregular. Your pupils dilate abnormally. In serious cases, respiratory failure becomes a real possibility. These aren't mild reactions that pass on their own. They require immediate emergency medical attention. What makes Angel's Trumpet particularly concerning is how appealing it is to grow. Gardeners love the tropical effect it creates. Those massive flowers are conversation pieces. The evening fragrance draws you outside to enjoy your garden at dusk. It grows quickly, providing that instant gratification we all appreciate. But that same appeal creates danger, especially around children who might be drawn to those large, unusual flowers. The plant can be grown in containers in colder climates and brought indoors for winter, or planted directly in the ground in warmer regions. Either way, it requires careful placement and constant awareness. You need to consider who has access to your garden space. Young grandchildren visiting for the weekend shouldn't be anywhere near this plant. Pets that roam your garden need protection from it. If you grow Angel's Trumpet, always wear gloves when handling it. Never prune or deadhead without full hand protection. Wash your hands thoroughly after any contact, even if you wore gloves. Consider whether it's worth growing if you have regular visitors who might not understand the danger. This plant exemplifies all the warning signs we've discussed. It belongs to a family known for toxic members. It affects multiple body systems. It's dangerous through various exposure routes. If you already have Angel's Trumpet in your garden, you need to make an informed decision about whether it stays. Mark its location clearly so you never forget what you're working near. Warn any helpers in your garden about its danger. Never handle it casually. The beauty of this plant comes with responsibility, and that responsibility is significant. What matters now is taking what you've learned and using it to create the safest possible space for everyone who enjoys your garden. You've gained the knowledge to transform concern into confidence. You now understand which plants require extra attention, and that awareness lets you create a garden that's both beautiful and safe for everyone who visits. Take a walk through your garden this week with fresh eyes. Identify any of these 5 plants. Assess their locations and make simple adjustments if needed. Wear gloves, move plants if necessary, and have conversations with family members about garden safety. Here's something worth remembering. Research shows that gardening improves mental health for the vast majority of people who practice it. confidence and motivation increase. Stress decreases. Your garden remains a source of wellness and peace when you approach it with knowledge and care. Drop your experiences in the comments below. Let us know if you discovered any of these plants in your garden, or tell us about the safe alternatives you found. Together, we're building gardens that bring joy without worry.